There's been quite a fight happening in the sky for a long time. This isn't about planes or birds, it's about people playing God with the weather. Not just hoping for sunshine on a rainy day. Real efforts, real tools. Decades back, some folks thought they could change clouds to get more rain. Others, they wanted storms to turn or vanish. Even armies got in on it. Some countries tried to make rain in far-off places for power moves. Records show it happened again and again. Some call it science, others whisper secrets. But this fight, still going strong. Back in the late 1960s, someone thought it was a good idea to make it rain on purpose. Not to water crops or fight fires, but to mess up roads and supply lines in the middle of a war. Imagine that in a briefing room. Gentlemen, our new mission, weather sabotage. Sounds weird? Welcome to Operation Popeye. This was not a sci-fi plot. It was a real thing, backed by real money, done by real military folks. The target? A muddy trail used by soldiers moving stuff from one place to another in Vietnam. The idea was to stretch out the rainy season. More mud meant slower trucks, broken roads, and maybe even some washed-out bridges. Picture trucks sinking axle deep, engines screaming, boots sliding. All because someone decided to play Zeus. To do this, planes flew above the clouds and dumped silver stuff into them. This silver powder helped the clouds make more rain, and not just a little. We're talking serious downpours. Over 5 years, about 2,600 flights were made. They dropped nearly 47,000 canisters full of rain-making dust. And yes, it rained more. Some say 30% more in those target areas. Here's the kicker. Was it worth it? Depends on who you ask. The science kinda worked, but turning rain into a war tool brought all kinds of problems. First off, the money. This wasn't cheap. Each year, around $3.5 million went into this rainy plan. That adds up to about $18 million by the end. That's a lot of coin for weather you can't even predict on a picnic. All that money bought chemicals, paid for planes, and kept crews flying in tight loops over hostile land. Then there's the mess it left behind. Making it rain in the wrong place doesn't just hit your enemy, it hits everybody. Cue a mental cut to flooded villages and rice fields underwater. Fields flooded, rivers swelled, towns got soaked. Nature didn't care about sides. When humans play weather gods, the whole ecosystem feels it, and there's no undo button. Word eventually got out. People outside the war zone weren't thrilled. Nobody likes hearing that rainstorms can be turned into bombs without warning. By the mid-70s, the United Nations stepped in. They hammered out a rule book, saying this kind of thing had to stop. In 1977, they put it in writing. Using nature as a weapon in wars was off the table. They called it the Environmental Modification Convention. It said no more rain tricks, no earthquakes on command, no weird science in war zones. Just fight like humans, not like wizards. Still, people kept whispering. Even after the rule book was written, rumors floated around. Some folks pointed to secret labs and mysterious machines. One place got a lot of attention. A setup in Alaska with giant antennas. People claimed it was messing with the sky, bending weather to someone's will. Real scientists said, nope, that place was made to look at stuff way up high in the atmosphere, not to push clouds around. Cut to glowing radar dishes and conspiracy theories in full swing, somewhere between science and Saturday night cable. But after Popeye, you could see why people wonder. If rain can be pulled from the sky for war once, why not again? And here's where it gets even murkier. Then there's the big question nobody wants to answer. Should anyone be allowed to play with the weather at all? Even if it's not for war? What happens when one place gets more rain and another place gets less because someone decided to stir the clouds? Crops can fail, rivers can dry, forests can flood. Changing weather isn't like flipping a light switch. It touches everything. And when it's used for fighting, that makes things worse. Countries get mad. People get hurt. The line between soldier and bystander gets real blurry. You can't aim a rainstorm. You just drop it and hope. Hope the clouds cooperate. Hope the wind listens. Hope the fallout doesn't come back on you. Literally. What started as a muddy trick in Vietnam is now a global race to shape the sky with billion-dollar tools. By the year 2035, more than 30 nations are expected to throw serious cash into weather-changing machines. Not small stuff either, we're talking billions. They're building weird tools like lasers, microwave beams, and chemical sprayers, all trying to bend the sky to their will. Sounds like sci-fi, but some believe it's real, and way darker than dark. The projects are real and getting more powerful every year. These machines aren't just for calming a storm or ending a dry spell. They're for war. Sneaky, silent, sky-high war. Turn off the rain over a farm, and you ruin a harvest. Push a hurricane toward your enemy's coast, and you don't need a missile. Imagine this, a storm front building like a weapon, and no one even knows who pulled the trigger. It's not about fighting fair, it's about winning without anyone seeing you fire a shot. Back in 2023, a big report from a group of labs said the money for weather tricks could pass $50 billion by 2040. Most of that money hides under fancy names like environmental defense. But let's be honest, this stuff isn't just for planting more trees. It's for shaping the sky to work for one side and mess things up for the other. Picture a scene: satellite feeds watching clouds as closely as enemy troop movements. Now add computers to the mix. Super fast ones. Today's most powerful weather computers can test thousands of sky setups in seconds. They're trained on mountains of data, hundreds of petabytes from past weather patterns. That means they can guess almost exactly what the sky will do next. And if they can guess it, they can change it. It's like playing chess with the clouds, except the losing side gets hit by a blizzard. Imagine the fallout. Not just headlines, but stock market crashes tied to cloud patterns. A fake test in 2030 showed what can happen if someone drops special dust high into the jet stream. It pushed warm air away from West Africa. That led to a massive drop, more than 1/4, in cocoa production. Less chocolate worldwide, and a crash worth $14 billion. That's not a bomb, that's a puff of powder and a huge hit to global trade. Spies digging into secret files found that at least 6 countries are running quiet weather labs. They hide the work as climate fixes or rain help, but critics say it's all a cover-up. These labs are test beds for future sky-based attacks. Somewhere, there's a guy in a lab coat who thinks cloud warfare sounds perfectly reasonable. There you have it. Rain is no longer just rain. Storms don't just roll in. Somewhere, someone might be aiming them, tweaking them, or holding them back. And the next time a drought hits or a hurricane shifts course, ask yourself, was that nature or someone pulling strings in the sky? The next frontier isn't the moon or Mars, it's the clouds right over our heads. But when the skies become weapons, it's only a matter of time before rivers and lakes turn into front lines. People used to fight over land, oil, and gold. Now it's water. Not the water in your sink or your shower. We're talking about rivers, lakes, underground water, and melting ice. Stuff that keeps farms alive, cities running, and whole countries from falling apart. By the year 2045, almost 2 billion people might not have enough clean water. Another 5 billion will live in places where water is tight. This isn't about saving water by turning off taps. This is about big nations, old enemies, and new fights. Let's talk hotspots. First, the Nile. It runs through a bunch of countries, but Egypt depends on it the most. Like almost all their water comes from it. Ethiopia built a giant dam upstream. That dam can change how much water Egypt gets. Egypt doesn't like that. Sudan is stuck in the middle. They're all watching each other with drones and radar now, like it's a spy movie. Cue the James Bond music, except everyone's holding a water report instead of a gun. Next, jump to the American Southwest. Places like Arizona and California are not on friendly terms about the Colorado River. The river is drying up. 2 giant lakes, Meade and Powell, dropped to record lows in the 2020s. Arizona said California was stealing water with secret pipes. Then Arizona sent soldiers to guard their water plants. Not even kidding. It's like a modern-day gold rush, but everyone's fighting over hoses. Now water is turning into a weapon. Not a bucket of water, but dams and tech and sabotage. There are smart dams that someone can hack with a computer. You push a button and flood someone's town. There are underwater robots that sneak into enemy water plants and break them. You can even dig into glaciers in the mountains and cause giant snowslides. In one test in 2024, an attack made a huge flood in Bangladesh. Crops were gone, homes gone. Over 2 million people had to move. And don't forget the oceans. They aren't just for fishing anymore. The Arctic Ocean, once frozen, is now open for business. Russia, the United States, and China are racing to claim pieces of it. Russia dropped some new machines into the icy Barents Sea to make clean water for their new Arctic bases. The United States responded with special buoys that mess up underwater radio signals and search for hidden water under the seafloor. The battle for control has sunk below the clouds, into the oceans themselves. Autonomous boats are everywhere now. These small, smart machines zoom around the oceans by themselves. There were only a few back in 2020. By 2028, there will be even 10 times more. They guard boats, spy on illegal fishers, and even drop special stuff in enemy waters to wreck fish farms or block ports. Turns out the Navy of the future might look more like a robot aquarium than a battleship fleet. Then there's the money side. As water becomes more rare, companies see dollar signs. One group, Blue Core Holdings, started buying rights to river water in South America in 2017. By 2025, they controlled over 1/10 of all privately owned water on the planet. They don't need armies, they just use contracts. Some call this the Water Empire Plan. No guns, just paperwork that makes others suffer. In the Sahel, a dry region south of the Sahara Desert, fights over wells have jumped by more than 60% since 2025. People are grabbing guns over puddles. In Central Africa and parts of the Middle East, water troubles have forced 19 million people to leave their homes. 19 million. That's like a whole country on the move. This isn't a future problem. It's here. The fight isn't about borders anymore. It's about who gets to drink, farm, and live. No one's really talking about water like it's a battlefield, but look closely. Rivers are guarded like gold. Dams are like ticking time bombs. Oceans are being carved up by ships and machines. Farms go dry because of dams hundreds of miles away. It's not just countries fighting either. Big companies are taking control, especially in places where laws are weak. They sign deals that give them all the water. Locals can't fight back. Their farms dry up, their towns shrink. Then they leave, or they fight. Meanwhile, water robots are learning fast. Some have cameras, some have arms, some are programmed to sneak into systems and shut them down. They cost way less than a soldier. They don't sleep, and they're getting better at hiding. Even space is part of all this. Satellites watch every drop now. They spot where rivers are low. They see who is pumping too much. They even track illegal pipes. Some satellites can shoot pictures sharp enough to spot a crack in a dam wall. Big Brother's got a new favorite drink, and it's water. Countries that have glaciers hold major power. That's where a lot of rivers start. Melting ice means less water later. Some places are digging into glaciers now, trying to pull water before it melts. But that digging can cause avalanches. Entire towns have been wiped out in tests. It's hard to believe that one clear glass of water could cause so much trouble. But it's already happening, and it's going to get worse. Wars used to be fought with bullets. Now, with clouds. The weather forecast isn't just about rain anymore. It's a weapon, a warning, a chess move. First came cloud seeding in Vietnam. Now it's microwave beams, hacked dams, and sky-sized sabotage. In our next video, rain as a missile, water as a warhead, because the next world war might be one without firing a shot. But what if weather isn't the only thing being reprogrammed? What if memory is next?